Alright, Dad, so you wanted a little bit of a tour of the backyard. So I got my first little planter here with my petunias. I think these are my vining petunias. They came in really white. I was surprised by that. It's the butterfly bush that I kind of saved. Wasn't in the best shape the first year I moved in, but now it's doing great. As you can see, it's huge. This is the bean trellis. All its beans. I've got more nasturtiums. That vine creeping along down there is actually a sweet potato I planted, and it's slowly taking over. I've started harvesting the beets. You can see some of them are getting kind of big for their britches down there, so I gotta pull them out. But I've got carrots. I've got some garlic in the back there. They're doing okay. This little planter didn't do so hot, but I just threw a bunch of red clover in it just to see what'll happen. There's a few petunias. The nasturtiums just never took off, and I don't know if that was potting mix or what. This is my goofy cucumber that is slowly taking over this little spruce tree here, so I figure that works as an impromptu trellis. We've got sunflowers and more beans growing up the sunflowers in the back end here, and in the front I have all my strawberries, which are taking over down here. They're sending runners out everywhere. So I have 4 strawberry plants in the front, and they are taking over the back of it. My black-eyed Susans have gone absolutely ballistic, so they're having a good time. I put those between the strawberries, so I have really only 3 black-eyed Susan plants there, if you can believe it, for all those blooms. Which is pretty funny to me. The little marigolds didn't do so great either. These little planters didn't work out as well as I'd hoped. So back here, we had a bit of a tragedy this week. Most of what you see back there is California poppies, and unfortunately over here you see there's a bunch of dead ones. We just had some really bad rain, and I think they drowned. So they didn't do so hot. Nasturtiums, however, loved it. So I've got 2 types of nasturtiums. I got my dark red ones, and there's some more of them in the back there. You can't really see them, and these sunburst ones here that are yellow and orange, and they're pretty cool. Coming around, this is my freebie oregano. Just a giant wild oregano growing for me. So I'll take that. I should really clip the seeds off of it. 2 of my tomato plants. I'm not sure which tomatoes these were. These might have been my Amish pastes, but I'll figure that part out later. More beans, another cucumber plant taking over. This next planter's kind of cool. It's got another sunflower in the back. These were all just little wildflowers I dumped in there for cover. I don't know if anything is still blooming back there, but it doesn't look like it. So there's some red clover and other stuff hanging out down there, but the main things in here now are I've got all these ground cherries. And you can see all these ground cherries that are just coming in and going nuts. I've got a couple of these bell peppers coming in with the ground cherries. These are called King of the North. A few more nasturtiums. This here is actually a citronella plant, which has, when I got this thing, it was 4 inches high. And you can see it's significantly bigger than that now. Another black-eyed Susan, another pepper. Over there in that corner is where my 2 pumpkin seeds went in. So one pumpkin's going all the way back over that way, and the other pumpkin comes all the way over here and pretty much is slowly taking over the yard. But we are starting to get a couple little pumpkins down there. They are coming in, so I don't mind it. Let them do their thing. Coming back this way, this is my wildflower meadow. My little 10 by 10 meadow, and you can see we have just all these little bachelor buttons and all kinds of different little flowers. I can get on this side, you can see a lot more of them. I have to find my pavers here, but it's a real riot of color back here. You got all these little pink guys and sunbursts, little lacy things. We've got every color you can really imagine back here. All these wildflowers, and they're so pretty. So they've been coming in great. This was my little experiment in the back here, where I don't know if you can see them, but there's 4 cinder blocks back there that were just by the wall. So I said, you know what? I'm going to throw a couple of pumpkin seeds and some morning glories, and I'm basically getting pumpkin bonsais now. It's pretty funny. But, they're doing alright. The morning glories are slowly starting to take over a little bit, and I don't mind that in the least. This is a freebie tomato who's out here in the meadow. I don't know how he got there, but I'll take him. And my actual tomatoes are kind of funny because they've only just started taking off. Like, these guys are starting to do okay. We really needed the hot weather. They were not doing well, but some of them are doing all right now. And just sending vines out all over the place, though, so I gotta tie them. Yeah, look at this. They're just sending these huge creeping vines out all over. I gotta tie these back up. So I'm gonna have to come back here with some twine later tonight. There's some more tomatoes in the back there. Because I was not expecting them to get quite that vigorous in terms of the vining and the side vines, but tomato's gonna do what tomato's gonna do, so I'll just tie those back up. See if I can get them on the twine here. Let's see, and yeah, there's another bean going to the pole. All the little beans. They're not really sticking around, so I don't think the mix is quite right for them. We're getting the flowers, but then they drop off, but seeing as how I wasn't really growing beans for anything other than ornamental purposes anyway. There's a nice purple one there. It's pretty much what we got. Oh, there's the reason why I have my meadow. Because my yard every day has more bees and butterflies and lightning bugs than you can imagine. And this back here is kind of my work in progress for next year, because this was always just a dead patch that was underneath all these feral mulberry trees, and you can see just all these vines and creepers coming off of it that are above where I can snip them, so I keep cutting those back. But I think I'm gonna try to... I threw a bunch of red clover seed back here. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but we'll see what happens. I gotta trim these hollies back too, because now that I've been back here watering, these things have taken off. And I'll see if I can get out of the sun here, but I don't know if you can see it, but up there is where I had to go and saw off all the branches on this thing to go and get the daylight back into the yard. So yeah, that's the yard. That's where we're at right now. And I'll shoot this over in an email to you, see if you can enjoy it. Have a good one.